One of the most unbelievable news from the tennis world came earlier this year when Ashley Barty decided to retire after winning the Australian Open. At only 26 years old, the decision to take early retirement was a shocker, especially given how she was dominating the sport and was the world's #1 at the time. We're still not over Barty's decision to leave, so we'll be taking a look at the greatest moments from her career, starting with her first retirement and cricket stint. In spite of what we think about Ash Barty's decision to retire, we've got to say that we admire her honesty and the ability to make brave decisions. Her bombshell to retire from tennis earlier this year wasn't the first one she dropped, as Barty had taken retirement from tennis before this too. As a teenager, Barty was still a pretty decent tennis player, but after the US Open in 2014, the Australian decided to retire from tennis because she believed that the rigors of the professional tour were too much to take, and she hadn't enjoyed her life as a teenager. The multi-talented super athlete decided to try her luck in cricket instead, and it was another impressive stint for the Brisbane Heat in the WBBL. Playing professional cricket isn't a joke, and even after impressing everyone, Barty decided to come back to tennis in 2016, not knowing if her decision would pay off. Moving on, Barty's first title and breakthrough year. Immediately upon her return, Ash won an ITF title, but her first season back was riddled with injuries. It wasn't long, though, before her career seriously took off in 2017, as she won her first title in the Malaysian Open and rose up to number 17 in the world. This was the first time the future world #1 would break into the top 100, but she wasn't only interested in singles success. 2017 was followed by more successes as Barty established her name in the world of tennis as an important player in both doubles and singles. Then, Barty's first taste of Grand Slam success. By 2018, Ashley Barty was a proper player. Her returning game had become much better, and she kept on improving with every passing year. It was hardly a surprise that after a successful 2018, Barty teamed up with Coco Vandeweghe for the US Open doubles campaign. After losing the first set in the final, the pair stepped up their game and came from behind to win 2 nerve-wracking tie breaks, winning the US Open in emphatic fashion. Knowing Barty, a retirement at this point of her life would have still been enough, knowing just how humble she's been. We've got the gift of hindsight, so we can say that her first taste of Grand Slam success was fantastic for her, because she was hungry for more, a lot more. Next, Barty wins singles Grand Slam. 2019 was the first year people realized just how good Ashley Barty truly was. After some fantastic results earlier in the year, which included the Miami Open win, Barty played in 2 clay court events in the build-up to the French Open. She'd lose in the quarters of the Madrid Open to Simona Halep, but that still didn't break her spirit. Barty was the 8th seed in Paris and started her bid for the Grand Slam in great fashion, defeating the 2 Americans, Pegula and Collins, in straight sets. She had Serena Williams on her side of the draw, but she lost to Sofia Kenin, as Barty made light work of Petkovic to set up a 4th-round clash against Kenin. The Australian would go on to produce a fantastic performance against Kenin, despite losing a set, and suddenly things were looking pretty good for Barty. She faced another American in the quarters in Madison Keys, the 14th seed, and defeated her in straight sets before defeating another American tennis player, Amanda Anisimova, who'd managed to sneak into the semifinals after defeating Simona Halep. The date in the final was set as Barty only lost 4 games to win her first ever singles Grand Slam title against Marketa Vondrousova. That win meant that Barty became the first Australian to win the French Open since 1973 and rose in the rankings to number 2 in the world. After that, another title, WTA Finals, and number 1 in the world. If that wasn't enough to complete tennis, Barty would also go on to win another title right after her Roland Garros win. She was playing in the Birmingham Classic, and it was a seamless transition from Barty to comfortably win the title in the United Kingdom. She's won 12 other singles titles, but this one would have meant the most considering it helped her become the #1 ranked player in the world. She became the second Australian to get to #1 in the WTA singles ranking since Yvonne Goolagong-Cali. Despite losing the ranking to Naomi Osaka, Barty managed to get back to #1 position despite an upset against Wang Xiong. She would go on to win the season-ender WTA Finals and defeated some of the best players in the world, including the likes of Belinda Bencic, Karolina Pliskova, and Elena Svitolina, to cement her year-end world #1 ranking. If that wasn't enough, she also became the first Australian to win the WTA Player of the Year award at the end of 2019. That's greatness. Then, utter domination from Ash Barty. Barty wouldn't lose her #1 ranking again for a long time. She spent a staggering 121 weeks at the top of the pile and became only the 5th women's player ever to make it 3 consecutive years ranked #1. The girl from Ipswich, Queensland, was dominating the tennis world with pure class, and there wasn't anything anyone could have done to stop her dominance. Her fantastic run included her first ever title on home soil, winning the Adelaide International against Diana Yastremska in the final. The Australian champion would face a heartbreaking loss in the semis of the Australian Open after that, and with the COVID-19 pandemic, she couldn't even make it to the French Open to defend her crown, but kept her her year-end ranking, as she would for another 2 years. And of course, the famous Wimbledon win. Winning Wimbledon truly means completing tennis. It's the biggest honor in the history of the sport, and well, you're probably royalty if you can get your hands on the biggest prize on the grass of Wimbledon. Ashley Barty started her Wimbledon campaign in 2021 by defeating Suarez Navarro in 3 before going on to beat Blinkova, Siniakova, and Krejcikova in straight sets to make it to the second week. Fellow Australian Ajla Toljanovic was waiting for Barty in the quarters, but was no match for the world number 1 who destroyed her, dropping only 4 games. But then she was presented with the biggest challenge of her run as she took on Angelique Kerber. The first set was hardly fought, but Barty found the break and held on to it. The second set, though, was pure madness as Kerber and Barty exchanged blows and took the game to a tiebreaker. Barty had enough in the tank to take a mini break and once again didn't let it go, hanging on to win the tiebreak and book her place in the final of Wimbledon. On the other side, Karolina Pliskova defeated the number 2 seed, Aryna Sabalenka, to face Barty in the final. Once again, the Australian took the first set, but Pliskova wasn't going to give up and found the corners at the crucial moments, winning the second set on a tiebreak. In the final set, though, Barty cruised through, winning her first Wimbledon title and becoming the first Australian to win the Grand Slam since 1980. It was a special moment for Barty as she finally won the major on her favorite surface. Lastly, the Australian Open win and retirement. Winning a title at home had been Barty's biggest dream, but it just never got fulfilled. She'd been chasing the elusive Australian Open, and it wasn't until 2022 that she finally did it. Barty had lost in the Australian Open many times in front of an adoring crowd, and despite being a favorite, she'd bowed out on many occasions. It was almost as if she knew that she would require a near-perfect performance to win it, and that's exactly what Melbourne Park experienced. Barty would go on to win the Australian Open 2022 in emphatic fashion without dropping a single set and became the first Australian to win it since Chris O'Neill in 1978. The Australian champion defeated the likes of Anisimova, Pegula, and Keys to make it to the finals and was only taken to even the tiebreak once. And that was in the final by Danielle Collins. Barty found another gear just in time, defeating Collins to win the AO in front of her home crowd. And with that win, Barty completed tennis. Her career might have been extremely short considering she was only 25 when she retired, and it included a hiatus where she pursued cricket instead. But to win all 4 majors, we're counting the US Open even though it was doubles, is seriously impressive. To do it in 12 years only is greatness. That's a wrap for this video. Which of these Barty moments is your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.